Guys, here we are. We're gonna do class. Wah! That was yelling in excitement, not yelling in fear. All right. Can you remember what book of the Bible we're in?
Blue.
Luke. What about the chapter? Can you remember what chapter?
16.
Good job. Good job.
Luke is my brother. Luke's my brother.
Oh, there you go. A book about your brother and a cuckoo clock. All right, so we're gonna look at we were talking about the really hard parable last time about the this guy that's kind of a cheater, he's an unjust steward, and he's trying to be clever on earth, and Jesus is saying that we need to be clever and wise towards being in heaven, and it's written about the Pharisees who really liked money and all that kind of mess. So now we're gonna read the last parable in this chapter. And I think that this is a parable. Some people don't think it's a parable, but I think it's a parable. One of my favorite stories in the Bible. There we go. Luke chapter 16, starting in verse 19. Now, there was a certain rich man, and he was clothed in fine purple, or in purple and fine linen, faring sumptuously every day. And a certain beggar named Lazarus was laid at his gate, full of sores, and desiring to be fed with the crumbs that fell from the rich man's table. Yea, even the dogs came and licked his sores. Have you guys heard this story before?
Yeah.
This is a great story. So first we have to draw somebody who is very rich. We'll say here's the rich man, clothed in purple and fine linen, and he's faring sumptuously. So we've got to draw that guy first, okay? So let's get to this, and we'll draw the sumptuous guy. All right, so I'll draw him like this, and he's got his fine, rich beard, and maybe some hair, and he's a little bit bald, and he's just, he's got his thumb up because he's been eating, and he's got his hands on his belly, and he's got a big old fat belly because he's been eating well for a long time, right? And he's just feeling pretty good. All right, what color clothes is he wearing?
Purple.
And why do we care what color clothes he's wearing? What's the big deal with purple?
Purple was expensive back then.
Yeah, you had to have a lot of money. Wear purple. Nowadays, anybody can wear purple. But are there clothes that when you look at people and you see they're wearing those clothes, you think, wow, they must be rich because they have those rich clothes? Have you ever seen clothes that look really rich?
I don't think so.
Maybe someone the cool jeans or the cool shoes and things like that. Anyways, that's what this guy is. I'll give him brown hair. He's living sumptuously. He's got his hair, and he's probably somebody's over here, and they've like got grapes, and they're feeding him grapes right off. Oh, I don't even want to pick up the food. I want you to put the grapes into my mouth. All right, so he's living a very rich life. Is he happy?
Yeah. Yes.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
He's living happy. He's living happy. Is it a sin to be happy?
No.
Oh, oh, okay. And there was a certain beggar named Lazarus, and he was laid at the gate full of sores. All right, what does Lazarus look like? He's desiring to be fed on the crumbs.
Opposite.
He's the opposite. And how is it? Is Lazarus even able to stand? No, he's not able to stand. He's got a patchy beard. If he's sick and he's covered with sores, and his hand is over his head, and he's laid out. His clothes are kind of raggedy. And is Lazarus feeling good?
No.
No. I don't know what color he's wearing, so I'm just going to put him in orange.
That's not.
But I probably have to put some dirt marks on it, right? Because he's dirty. So I'll put some dirt on it because he's poor and his beard is all scraggly. But it also says, what does he have on his body? It says that he had sores,
Sore.
which means that maybe he got them and then they didn't heal and they kept getting worse. And what's happening to his sores? What's going on with him?
The dogs like it.
Does that sound like a nice thing?
The dogs like it? Yes.
Well, here's the thing. Do you guys have your own pet dog?
No. Yeah.
Maybe you do, or maybe you don't.
Yes.
Is it one thing if your pet dog licks you? That's kind of nice, maybe. What if it's not your pet dog? It's just some dog on the street. Does that sound like a nice thing?
Also, back then the dogs were more like wolves.
Yeah. This does not sound like a very happy thing to have dogs coming up and licking your open sores. So, who is
That's why
living...
they didn't heal.
Yeah. Who is living the happier life? Mr. Purple or Mr. Orange?
Mr. Purple.
Living the happier life.
Mr. Purple.
And Mr. Orange, whose name is actually Lazarus, we actually get a name. And I think that that's kind of curious that we get a name in this story, in this parable. Lazarus, he was desiring to be fed with crumbs that fell from his table. So here's little crumbs falling out of his hand. And who wants to eat the crumbs?
Not
Lazarus wants to eat them. It doesn't even say that he got to eat them. I don't even know if he got to eat the crumbs. Desiring to eat the crumbs from the rich man's table. Yea, even the dogs came and licked his sores. Okay. And it came to pass that the beggar died, and he was carried up by the angels to Abraham's bosom. And the rich man also died and was buried. Okay, so they both die. Is that weird, or does like everybody die? People die. Do poor people die?
Yes.
Yes. Do rich people die?
Yes. Yes.
That's kind of okay. So they both happen to die. Maybe they died because they were sick. Maybe they died because of old age. We don't know. But it says that they both died. But what happened to them after they died? Lazarus, it says, was carried away by the angels to Abraham's bosom. And the rich man also died, and he was what? Buried. This is kind of different, right? So here we're going to draw the ground. And I'll draw a tombstone, okay? Here's a tombstone. And here's the fresh dirt. And the rich man is underneath it. Okay? And you know he's the rich man because he's wearing purple underground. But maybe I should put some dirt over, like, so he's under the ground, right? There he is. Now he looks like he's underground. And where did Lazarus go? Lazarus was carried up into the clouds, right? Up to Abraham's bosom. The angels carried him up to Abraham's bosom. That means he was really close with Abraham. So I'm going to draw Lazarus here, and he's got his scraggly beard. And he's wearing orange, but who is he standing with?
Abraham probably doesn't have swords anymore.
Yeah, I bet those sores have healed. Here's Abraham. He's got his arm around him. And I'll put Abraham in blue. So, how do you think Orange Lazarus feels now that he's in Abraham's bosom?
Not good.
He probably feels good. And we usually draw God in heaven like this. So I'm going to draw another one. I don't know. It just doesn't really say much. I think the point is Lazarus got up to be in a nice situation with Abraham. What about the rich man? Is he in a bad situation buried underground? It's kind of hard to know, right?
Will be eventually.
So let's read what happens. Let's read what happens. And in Hades, Hades is the Greek word for the land of the dead, okay? Some translations use the word hell, and that's not really the right word to use there because the word hell is the eternal place of punishment. In this parable, it's just saying
You got the
he
house.
went to the place of the dead, okay?
He's back.
So in Hades, he lifted up his eyes, and being in torments and seeing Abraham afar off and Lazarus in his bosom, the rich man, he cried and said, Father Abraham, have mercy upon me, and send Lazarus that he may dip the finger of it in water and cool my tongue, for I am in anguish in this flame. Uh-oh. How does the rich man feel now?
Oh,
He feels pretty uncomfortable, right?
could you move the paper down? We can't
Oh,
see.
there we go. He
Okay.
says he is in anguish in this flame. So here, let's draw him in purple.
Is he is he is he in hell?
It says Hades as in the land of the dead. Here's the thing. I think that this is a parable. And I think rather than giving us details, this is what hell looks like and this is what heaven looks like, I don't think that's the point. I think it's trying to teach us a mood. Okay?
Like, what did he do wrong? That he's burning.
But we'll
He
figure that
wants
out.
to.
We'll figure that out, okay? Yep. That's a great question. What did he do wrong? So I'll just draw really quick flames. Okay, so here he
But
is.
it's not wrong to be rich.
That's very true. It's not wrong to be rich. All right, so I'm just going to do some quick flames here. These are good questions. I'm glad you're asking these questions. And what does he want Lazarus to do? He wants Lazarus to dip his finger in water. Do what? So he could have a drip of water on his tongue. Does that sound like a lot of water? That's not a lot of water, is it? If you were really hot, would you want to drink more than just a tiny drip?
No.
If I was really thirsty, I'd want more than a drip. So this guy must be pretty comfortable, right? All right, so let's read what happens here. And your question, why is he in torment? Why is he in fire? Because it's not a sin to have purple clothes and eat grapes. It's not a sin to be rich. But I think this picture, this is not necessarily a sin. If you have this and the same picture, you see how there's something wrong? You see what I mean? How there's something wrong there? It might not be wrong to eat grapes. But it's
He's not sharing.
He's not sharing. I think that that's really the point that it's getting at. The picture of a man eating grapes is not wrong. But the picture of a man eating grapes while someone else has nothing, maybe that's wrong. Does that make sense?
Yes.
Let's keep reading. Father Abraham, have mercy on me. Send Lazarus that he may dip the tip of his finger in water and cool my tongue, for I am in anguish in this flame. But Abraham said, Son, remember that thou in thy lifetime received thy good things. Lazarus in like manner received evil things. But now he is comforted, and thou art in anguish. And besides all this, there is between us and you, there is a great gulf fixed. They which would pass from hence to you may not be able, and none may cross from thence to us. All right. So he says two important things. The first thing he says was, you in your lifetime received good things, and Lazarus in his lifetime evil things, but now he is here comforted and you are in anguish. So, when you guys were alive, you had the good stuff and he had the rough stuff. Now that you're dead, he has the good stuff and you have the rough stuff. Does that make sense? So what did the rich man focus on when he was alive?
Keeping himself happy.
Yeah, trying to make himself happy. And is it wrong to eat grapes?
No.
No. But if you're only living to be happy on earth, what's probably going to happen to you? Yeah. But Lazarus, was he willing to suffer on earth? Yeah.
Yes.
And now he's getting comfort. Now he's getting comfort with God. But then it's like, well, what if Lazarus just gave him a little? Mm-hmm.
But Miss Van, didn't the rich man not know about the poor beggar, or did he? Because he can't be wrong for not sharing with someone he didn't even know about.
Well, let's look at the detail. Lazarus was laid at his gate.
Oh,
So it's not like the rich man lived in the United States of America and the poor man lived in China. He was put right at the rich man's gate, where the rich man would see him when he went out and went to the store or went to go buy more grapes. Does that make sense?
They have a shooting power of light.
So the rich man, I think in the context here, you're right. If he didn't know, maybe God would have mercy, but this man knew. I think this man knew. Abraham also says,
but I don't really see why, because that's such a little thing. I mean, all of us don't share sometimes.
well, I think the point of this story is that it's teaching that it's not a little. That's what Jesus is trying to teach all the adults that are listening to him. And Abraham says, even if he was going to try to share with you in the afterlife, he can't, because there's a great gulf. The distance is too much.
I'll be good when I'm a grown up because I'll be a pilot.
And so now let's keep reading here. And besides all this, there's between you and us, there's a great gulf fixed, that they which would pass from hence to you may not be able, and none may cross from thence to us. We can't reach you, is what he's trying to say. Even if we wanted to try to give you a drip of water, there is a big distance between us. We cannot cross. I'm going to draw this line to say that we actually cannot cross.
Because it's a good man and it's a bad man, and the good man can't go to the bad man.
Or the other way around. It just can't go in this afterlife picture. So, and he said, so the rich man then says some more things. I pray thee therefore, Father, that thou would send Lazarus to my father's house, for I have 5 brethren, or I have 5 brothers, that he may testify unto them, lest they also come into this place of torment. What is he asking that Lazarus would do? What does he want him to do in verses 27 and 28?
He wants Lazarus to
Send Lazarus back to earth so that he can
warn his brothers.
Yeah. Warn my brothers. Send Lazarus to warn my brothers. But Abraham said, they have Moses and the prophets. Let them hear them. He said, no, Father Abraham, but if one would go from the dead, they would repent. And he said unto him, if they will not hear Moses and the prophets, neither will they be persuaded of what rises from the dead. They won't be persuaded even if one rises from the dead. Okay, so here, if Lazarus can't help give me a little drink of water, send Lazarus to go warn my brothers. And what does Abraham say? Your brothers don't need Lazarus. What do the brothers have?
The prophets that God sent.
The prophets that God sent. They have the prophets, which is a lot like, well, how would they know what the prophets say? How do you know what the prophets said in the Old Testament?
It's all written down.
It's all written down. So I'm going to start drawing that up on the board. Let me get that. Okay. Okay. So they have the words are actually they have Moses and the prophets. And the prophets. So where do they get Moses and the prophets? How would somebody know what Moses and the prophets say?
Moses
Listening.
Yeah, they're listening. And you can draw the Bible like a book or you can draw the Bible like a scroll. I'll draw both. Because with that guy back then, it would have been a scroll, right? I'll do like a scroll. Right? And in this, they'd have all the things that Moses and the prophets wrote. Okay? Now, do we read the scrolls today?
No.
No, we read the Bible. So I'll draw the Bible too. I mean, that's what we're doing today, right? We're reading the Bible. Yeah. And so there's the message. If we want to, we have Moses and the prophets. We do. We even have Jesus, don't we? Aren't we reading a story from Jesus today?
Yes.
Yeah. Okay. So let's go back to the text and look at this. The rich man said, let me underline what the rich man says in purple. Send him to my father's house. And Moses says, no. Abraham says, they have Moses and the prophets. We need Lazarus to warn people. And Abraham says, they have Moses and the prophets. They have the Bible. Wait. What did the rich man want Lazarus to do?
Go back to
His brother.
Yeah, warn the brothers. So let's draw some brothers. I think he said 5 brothers. And they have a whole lot of feet. Here's the brothers.
So many feet.
Sounds like they're all red.
It sounds like they're all
All right, what are they being warned about?
that if they don't share if they don't share to other people and they try to share with other people and not keep it all to yourself, not be all.
Yeah. So they're being warned about, right? They're being warned about the fire. Does that look like fire? That looks good enough.
Yeah, looks good.
I'll put some orange. So the rich man wanted Lazarus to warn them about the fire. Makes sense. And Abraham says, no, they have Moses and the prophets. So how do you use Moses and the prophets to be warned about fire?
The listening.
Listening what?
Bible. The Bible.
Listen to the disciples.
Yeah.
Bible.
Basically prophets.
There must be something in the Bible that warns us about fire. Well, of course there is, right? The Bible teaches us how to be good, how to obey, how to love, right? Jesus says things like love your neighbor as yourself, how to share. Sharing is one of the points brought up in this parable. And so if we learn from the prophets, if we learn from Moses, and nowadays if we learn from Jesus, right? That's going to help us to be warned about the fire. So do you think the brothers were good brothers or bad brothers if they needed warning about the fire? Oh, probably bad. I'll give them angry eyes.
Yes, angry eyes.
Angry.
Angry eyes.
Right?
Probably all too.
Yeah. I don't have enough time to color them red, so I'll just give them got a red stripe across their shirts. It sounds like it was a whole rich family of people who focused on having their good things. And where did they focus on having their good things? On earth or in heaven?
Earth.
Yeah. And so, oh, we can draw earth, right? Here they are. Earth. They're standing on the ground.
They were warned though. They were warned though. They had enough to know that they should.
Right. They should know. I mean, here's the sky, right? And they're living here on Earth, and I'll put some grass on the Earth. So it looks like it's getting in the grass, right? They're on Earth, and they're living a life where they're going after good things. Is it evil to have something good?
No.
No, but if you're living a life to have good things down here, are you going to get the good things up here? No. How do you get the good things up here?
You focus on God.
And how do you focus on God?
Reading the scriptures.
The Bible and obey it.
Right? That's why Abraham says, hey, they have Moses and the prophets. They have everything they need. But the brother says, yeah, they're not reading the Bible. Right? Look at it. Look at how he talks about it. They have Moses and the prophets. Let them hear them. But he said, no, Father Abraham. But if one would go to them from the dead, they'll repent. He says, my brothers, they're not listening to the scriptures. But if you send somebody from the dead, who's the person to be sent from the dead?
Lazarus.
Lazarus. So let's draw Lazarus. Okay, he's up here in Abraham's bosom, right?
Feel better.
But he's going to come to him from the dead. I'll still give him this family beard so that we know who we're talking about. He's feeling good. All right, so there's Lazarus. I'll put him in orange. He was wearing orange, remember? There it is. He's still wearing it. If he came back from the dead, the brother says they'll repent. They'll listen to Lazarus. I know that they're not listening to the Bible, but they'll listen to Lazarus. That's what the brother thinks. Can you remember what Abraham says?
If they're not going to listen to Moses and the prophets, they won't listen to Lazarus.
Exactly. He says, no, Father Abraham, but if one would go from the dead, they will repent. And he said unto him, if they hear not Moses and the prophets, neither will they be persuaded if one rise from the dead. If they won't listen to the Bible, they won't be persuaded if somebody rises from the dead. Now, this is a parable. Did this Lazarus come back from the dead? No. But is there a story of a Lazarus that did come back from the dead?
Yes.
Isn't that kind of funny?
Yes.
And who is telling this story?
Jesus.
Does Jesus know anything about coming back from the dead?
Yeah.
Yes.
So this is an amazing story. I'll do this here. So there's Moses and the prophets, and there's literally one of my favorite drawings to draw, right? Jesus died on the cross, right? Was buried in the tomb. And did he stay in the tomb?
No.
No! He came out from the tomb. He came out of the grave. He came back from the dead.
Hey, did you know Jesus was also the one that also brought some people from the dead?
Yeah, that's exactly right. So Jesus is telling a story about what he himself does, right? And so here we have Jesus, and Jesus is a good guy,
And he wears blue.
and he wears blue. Let me get some blue on him. Right there he is, wearing blue. Okay. Jesus died on the cross. Jesus was buried in the tomb. Jesus came back from the dead. And will these five brothers listen to Jesus?
Yeah.
No.
When Jesus came back from the dead, did everybody believe in him?
No.
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 Disciples doubted that.
Yeah.
Even the disciples doubted, right?
He had to see his.
Even his own friends did.
This is amazing.
Even his
This is
brothers.
amazing. This is terrible.
Their other brother that went up that died is probably like, I warned you, and now you're gonna. He's probably like thinking, what?
Yeah. They're going to pay too. Think about this. This is a little parable about should we focus on having our good things on earth and our bad, like this, it's talking about where is our focus? Are we wanting good things on earth and then we suffer afterwards? Or do we want to have good things hereafter, right? That's one of the main points. But it's also talking about Jesus's own death and resurrection and who's going to listen to Jesus.
Hey, Mr. Dan.
Mm-hmm.
Well, it's also that we persecuted Jesus, and that's basically what the guy in purple did.
Yeah. If Jesus had to die for my sins, then my sins are one of the reasons that he died. And then he had to die for me. That's similar, right?
Right.
So,
Heaven, not earth.
Yeah. I think this parable is really neat. It tells us that even if we showed somebody Jesus in real life coming back from the dead, they still might not believe. What we need, but there's enough in the Bible. There's enough in the Bible to prove us and teach us about Jesus. Some people say, oh, if I could just see Jesus today, it would be really great. And the answer is, well, that'd be really fun. But there's enough in the Bible. Alice, I think you raised your hand about something.
Well, we have spiritual treasures in heaven, not earth.
yeah, so in heaven, that lasts forever, and so does hell. So, but on earth, you die, then you go there. So you have limited time here, but forever there. So you really need to use your limited time to believe and try and spread the gospel.
Yeah. So if you focus on having a good time here on earth, you might have 80 years of a good time. And how long is eternity?
Forever.
A lot longer than 80 years. All righty. Well, I think we're going to close with that story, and we'll pick up with chapter 17 next week. Chapter 17 has a bunch of different things that's on a different topic. And so we only did the one short story, but this is an important story. We need to understand that Moses and the prophets and the Bible and the scriptures and the stories about Jesus, that's everything that we need to be warned about the fire. We need to be with God, and God's warned us, and we need to not be like these five brothers or the foolish man that died first. We got to make sure that we do right now and not just try to wait for later. All right. Well, with that, I'm going to let you guys go. I had a good time doing the class with you, and I will see you later. Take care, guys.